Hello, welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast, the midweek pod, the St Johnstone preview. Although that's usually like right in the last 5 minutes because I've completely forgot all about it and then we barely discuss it. But we will try. I will try my best. Hello, I'm Martin. Just probably about recovered from the cold, not COVID, the cold and the flu and all that nonsense. I'm joined by Brian. Brian, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Very well.
You don't look at you look a bit under the weather.
No, I'm all right. Fine. Yeah, grand.
You sure?
Yeah.
Unlike Barry or Baza, I don't know, Barry or Baza. What do you prefer?
Whatever you want, mate. I'll answer to anything these days.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Who's looking resplendent, I must say, Barry? How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Martin. Thank you. All well. So far, so good.
I've always wanted to use the word resplendent in a podcast before. But
You swallowed a thesaurus, have you?
Yes. One of those word a day calendars. Sword and Shield, we are the people no surrender, incoming, 56 incoming. Yes, it is. And of course, good evening from CGM. CGM, how are you? Now, we are live on YouTube, obviously. And over the last day, I'm not blaming the people watching. I'm not blaming them, Brian. I'm blaming them. The likes have just been slipping a wee bit. We're getting between 130 and 150. Let's get it up to 200. All right. Come on, guys. You know what to do. The likes really do help share the podcast. The more likes, the more views, etc. We do have, as CGM well knows, we do have Patreon as well, of course, if you want to help support the channel. Link is in the description. Plenty of extra shows.
The more likes, the more views.
I think I've got this on in the background on my computer. That's terrible. The best of the rest will be out tonight at 9 p.m. We've also got the Soonest Revolution. What else we got, Brian? The EPL show. History.
Yeah. We'll be restarting the football shirt one as well soon.
And the football shirts as well. We've got that going as well. And if you don't want to sign up to Patreon or whatever, you can also support us with the super chat as well. One of the main reasons as well for Patreon is I want to kind of take this further, this podcast. Right now, we're sitting at about 3,000 views per show, which is phenomenal considering we're only a year old. I want to get advertising on the go. I want to get guests. Because this is the thing, Brian, right? There's loads of fantastic Rangers podcasts out there, right?
Yeah.
And there's loads of brilliant interviews. But a lot of the interviews, not the same as in the interviews are the same, but it's a lot of the same people. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think what probably sets us a wee bit apart is the fact that we're just normal guys just chatting Rangers, and we've all got our own opinion here or there. And, we might disagree slightly here or there, but, we all disagree. We all agree to disagree in certain respects, but, it's all just normal guys just chatting Rangers.
See, now, we all agree to disagree and all that nonsense, right? But we're all dead nice on here. That group chat's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, man. People wouldn't believe the abuse I get, honestly. Very, very quickly, CGM. Just watching some German football for research purposes and Bayern are pumping Stuttgart. I don't know what research that's got to do.
It was only 1-0 at half time.
I really hope Borrusia. I really hope Dortmund are a fair bit at Bayern's level. I'm looking into actually getting Darren. I'm looking into getting a very well-respected Dortmund podcast as well on. I'm in the middle of that just now, so hopefully we do get that. But what I was getting to be interviews is, see if you want to get to interview people that aren't really seen that much, it costs money. That's the only reason. I don't want people thinking, they're always asking for money. It's just simply to improve the podcast. So let's talk about Rangers and let's stop talking about advertising and money and all that nonsense. Big week, Barry. We had a breaking news show about obviously drawing Borrusia Dortmund. I wasn't on it. You weren't on it. Brian, were you on it?
Nope.
No. Oh, good. All right. So three fresh sets of opinions, because I don't want to, berate Sir Jamie Duff and care. But a wee bit pessimistic for my liking. I was stuck at work, so I couldn't be on. I don't know about you, Barry, but I'm buzzing.
Absolutely buzzing. You know, it's been a while since we've drawn a team of this standard. You know, one of the top teams in Europe, Borussia Dortmund, again, getting back to Champions League level teams back at Ibrox. You know, I think even if you look at last season when we played Benfica, I think this is probably another step up again from Benfica, you know. You look at that team, it's littered with stars. Hummels, the boy Reina, which we obviously know his father, Julian Brandt, the boy Hazard, I think will probably be disregarded a little bit. Axel Witsel, who's in the Belgian national team. The boy up front, Malin, who was at PSV last season. It's a top player. And last but not least, Haaland as well.
Who?
You know, looking at that lineup, it's ridiculous, you know. And when was the last time we played a team of that standard? Been a while. So it'd be good to test ourselves. I guess from my perspective, I wanted Dortmund in the draw for the European away trip so we can get out to Germany and hopefully, you know, get a ticket for that game and see it firsthand in that stadium. Who knows what it's going to be like in February next year with the way COVID's going. Obviously, attendances are slipping in Germany at the moment. But fingers crossed we can all get out there and, you know, maybe we get 10 to 15,000 tickets if possible, and a lot of the Bears get a chance to experience that game out there. Be fantastic.
Just CGM. Axel Witsel, was he not in Beverly Hills Cop? I think he was, actually. Brian Folger makes a point. A high-profile glamour tie for the club. This is the level we want to be testing ourselves at. Hopefully, it's a nice earner for the club too. Look, over the past 12, 13, 14 years or whatever it is now, it's been that long, we've went through a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Yeah. So I think as a fan base more than anything, maybe it is the way football's going now, a lot's focused on finances, and if you're buying a player, can you get resale value on them? If you're having a pre-season friendly, is that a good enough team to bring the money into it? For me, this is more than just a glamour title, and it will be a great earner, and it's fantastic to see us pit it against Dortmund. But it's, for me, because I'm old enough to remember European nights, for me, it's more a statement that, although, yes, it's the Europa League, it's the UEFA Cup, but we're back. We're back playing these teams.
Yeah, I think, it's, I mean, I remember watching Barcelona, I think, I'm trying to remember, it was the Ronaldinho, Henry and Messi lineup. And I remember I turned my pal not long after that. I says, oh, this could be the last time we see a team of this stature for quite a while. I didn't actually think it would actually happen, but it did. And Dortmund is probably the first team that's going to come along Ibrox that we haven't seen or heard for a long time, and we're going to be severe underdogs against them. But it's just nice to have these teams back playing at Ibrox. As you say, albeit only in the Europa League. But at the end of the day, Dortmund, you know, they ended up third in their Champions League game for whatever reason. But it's just nice to be back against these sort of teams. And I mean, the place is going to be absolutely jumping. Hopefully we get something out there to take back to make the Ibrox game a bit more meaningful. But yeah, it's just marvellous to be against these teams again. Really is.
Yeah. CGM. Dortmund, they're a proper Champions League team. Yeah. Absolutely they are. Darren Stewart, been my favourite comment so far. We beat Real Madrid a few months ago. Dortmund will be a walkover. I love the sarcasm. Absolutely love it. Are people right, Barry, to talk more about it being a glamour tie and more about finances, and if we can take something back to Ibrox? Because, look, they finished third in the Champions League group, so they're obviously not having the best of seasons European football-wise. I haven't even looked yet at where they are on the table or how they've been doing in Germany yet. But are we right to be pessimistic? Not me, but are a lot of Rangers fans right to be pessimistic about our chances?
I mean, if you're just looking at purely status and where they've been for the last few years and the players on paper, you're going to say we've got no chance. But, you know, it's a game of football at the end of the day. You know, Gio could have us set up tactically very well, and we might be able to just ride the storm a wee bit. I mean, you're not going to go out there and play attacking football. You're maybe going to go out there, try and shut up shop, maybe try and hit them on the break. You're probably not going to get too many opportunities when you're out there, maybe 2, 3, something like that. It's going to be quite a challenge to, I think, shut them out over there. But we've done it before. We've played in the new camp, I think, and we've managed to keep the score respectable. So yeah, we just need to see how it goes on the night, I guess. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm thinking we're going to get annihilated, but
it's not going to stop you, Barry, buying your flights and accommodation for Dortmund, though, is it?
What was that? Sorry?
It's not going to stop you buying your flights and accommodation for Dortmund, is it?
Absolutely not. As a Rangers fan, that's the thing about seeing these teams. You want to be travelling all over Europe supporting your team, regardless if it's a Sheriff or a Dortmund or going to Luxembourg to follow Rangers. I think most of the fans will obviously, for the fact that they've been to Luxembourg, now have the polar opposite of that in Dortmund. And, we're starting to see that standard of team, improve in terms of who we're going to be faced against. So something to look forward to. And hopefully that's a taste of things to come, for the next few years as we start drawing some of these Champions League teams, maybe drawing your Real Madrid, your PSGs and all that and getting a chance to travel. Obviously, it's been more than 10 years since we last had that opportunity. So good to get that again,
Do you know what? That's the point. It's been a long, long time since we've played we've played we've played Benfica, we've played some really good teams in Europe, actually. So maybe it's not been that long. But I have to confess, I've bought my tickets, I've bought my accommodation, obviously just waiting to see what the tickets for the plane, by the way, not for the game, in case anybody thought of it again. I hope I get tickets for the game. This will be my first away European game. So, and I'm 32 years old. So, and I know everybody in the comments is going, "What? You're 30? I thought you were about 25, man, 24."
Tough paper around there and there.
That can't be right. No, this will be my first away European tie. So, if anybody watching is in Dortmund and sees me, say hello and buy me a pint. That's all I'm saying.
Bearing in mind, the group stage, Ajax were first with 6 out of 6. Sporting finished second on 9 points, along with Dortmund, and then Besiktas had 0.
Right.
So that's how Dortmund fared in the Champions League. So Sporting pipped them by, I think, goal difference or games against or whatever.
I mean, judging on our last few seasons' European performance, against Porto, Benfica, you would like to think that we would kind of be on a par with Lisbon, because you've seen Benfica and Porto win that league pretty comfortably most years. So, are we going to be miles off the standards of Sporting Lisbon on the night if we can perform? You just don't know, do you?
Well, look, Adam Beanie Smith. Now, I'm not 100. I'm terrible with names, so I don't know if you've been in the comments before, Adam. But I've seen a few you put in, right, which are a wee bit suspect. But this one here, Martin the Glory Hunter. No, I'm just looking for a free pint. To be brutally honest with you, Sword and Shield, you look no bad for 50, Martin. Fuck you. Falsey, Martin, you couldn't have picked a better away game to go to. It's brilliant going to Germany for a game. You'll have a great time. I sincerely hope so. CGM Dortmund should have got out of that group, which they absolutely should have. 100%. They're far better than Lisbon. Obviously, and this is the final thing we'll say on it, Brian. Look, the elephant in the room, the biggest player who could do the most damage in Europe if he plays to his absolute full potential, because we've seen it before, is Brandon Barker. He could have one of those nights again. No, of course it's Erling Haaland. I'm actually looking forward with a bit of trepidation to seeing him in the flesh. Is he the best striker in the world?
It's hard not to agree with that point. I mean, his goals for game ratio, I think only probably Lewandowski, who plays for Bayern's, better. But Haaland is just throwing out some stupid numbers. I mean, I think he's got something like 53 games, 53 goals for them in his last since he's joined, and he's just an absolute. I mean, as you say, he's a giant of a guy. He's a goal machine. I mean, it's just gonna be great to see this guy rocking up Ibrox if he's still there, because there's kind of rumours that he might be leaving in January. But I mean, it'd be great to see a guy like that come to Ibrox and strut his stuff and see just to see how the centre halves cope with a guy like that. Because at the end of the day, we've not come up against a guy like this ever. Any of these guys. So it's going to be interesting if he does stay on beyond January and we get to see him just how good he is.
I think it's key for the development of our squad as well.
Yeah.
Get the quality of players over into Ibrox and playing these European ties, because let's be honest, playing against a St Johnstone and a Motherwell or a Dundee, our players are probably not getting tested to the right level. And for that continued development for, Bassey's game, playing against Haaland, he's going to learn a lot more playing against that guy than what he is against your Lee Griffiths or Jason Cummins, and that's going to be right across the team, where they're all getting that development and playing in the bigger games and playing against world-class players, essentially.
Well, see, this is the thing, right? And like Darren's hit the nail on the head. Great motivation for the players. It is, Brian.
Yep.
But how many times have we seen it where we're playing against a better team? Obviously not in the league, but if we're playing Europe against a better team, and one or two players who you just don't expect it just step up and have a phenomenal game. That's the chance now that these players have got.
Yeah, it's happened before. I mean, who'd have thought Rod Wallace would have been the hero against Parma in '99? Played a marvellous game. Claudio Reyna, he played a marvellous game that night. I mean, all guys that we signed that you all thought, they'll be all right, but not sure about them, and they turned out to be, great players. So I mean, it's a marvellous chance for all the players to, if they want to go against these players and test themselves and see how they shape up against this sort of team, But it's just a great tie to look forward to. It really is.
It really is. Folsey, don't forget Gio might have strengthened the side by this game, and we're going to come to that. We're absolutely going to come to that. Our players played against Motherwell's Van Veen, same sort of challenge. Right, something we're going to move on to that. Listen, see, and I've said this a million times, when it comes to talking about boards and all of this, the stuff that goes with it, I'm clueless. I'm really, really, really clueless. Barry, Chris Jack, I think it was, that wrote that Dave King might be looking to move back into his seat on the board. What's going on?
I've not been following it really closely, but it looks as if obviously Dave King's trying to get his money back, essentially. I think he's went down an avenue with Club 1872 where they've tried to get a share offering in place to try and recoup some of that money that he shelled out for the shares. Promised them a deal. Doesn't look as if they can turn that deal around with the fallen memberships that they've got. And I think he's essentially changed direction, essentially, and trying to get a seat back on the board and, try and get some income for the shareholding. That's the only way I can kind of read into it, but I don't know a lot of the background to it, other than what you've read in the Evening Times,
Sharpie, evening folks, hit the like button. Cheers, Sharpie, buddy. So please do hit that like button, and of course, if you haven't already subscribed, we're getting closer and closer and closer to 4K subscribers. I'd love to get there by the time we go to Dortmund. Maybe. Brian, this is just all kind of just came out of nowhere. We spoke about it ages ago, and I don't have a clue about shares and share issues and with the whole Dave King Club 1872 partnership. I didn't really think it was right at the time, but again, what do I know? So I just let it go. And he's come back out and he spoke to the record, and it just all seems a bit theatrical.
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening to what Barry was saying, and yeah, he's obviously, he voted against, I think, Donald Park's son on the board.
Yeah.
Oh, was it his son? Right.
His son, he voted against his son to get back on the board. So I don't know how he's hoping to get back on the board when he's voted against the chairman's son. But as Barry was saying, he's obviously looking to get his cash back, because obviously the deal that he had with Club 1872 is not going as planned, and he's obviously sorted out all his businesses in South Africa with COVID, and yeah, he's obviously got a bit itchy feet, and he's got nothing much to do, so he's looking to get back into things, you know.
Very RFC 56. I trust Dave King, and Barry, I think there will be probably more than what there won't be who do support Dave King. After all, look what he came in and done. Not just him, there was other people there, but of course he was kind of the main face behind it all. If he wants to come back into the board, actually, should there be any trepidation or noise against it?
I think the Rangers fans will always have Dave King's back to a certain extent, considering what he went through initially to win the club back from Ashley and the rest of that cabal, you know. I think what the Rangers fans probably want to know is what his reasons are for coming back onto the board, because obviously he wanted to step away, sell his shareholding. What is the real reason that you want to come back onto the board, you know? Because you could have stayed on the board, you could have invested further into the club and helped take us forward, but you stepped away. You know, that's going to raise a little bit of suspicion. Me personally, I'm not up nor down about him coming back onto the board, providing it's for the right reasons, you know, and it's not going to cause any animosity and, you know, any furore into the media and cause any noise, you know, out there that, you know, the club doesn't need reputationally.
Well, see, this is what we don't want, Brian. We don't want noise and scrutiny and all the usual moon howlers out there. CGM, this is clearly a dislike or distrust between King and the current board for whatever reason. This will only lead to conflict in the future, and we don't want to be sitting here talking about conflict in the future when it comes to the board.
No, I mean, as I said before, he's voted against the chairman.
This could absolutely. I just want to before you come in. This could be nothing. This could blow over and be absolutely nothing. We could be making a mountain out of a molehill here. I really don't know. So sorry, carry on, Brian.
But I mean, as I said earlier, it's a case of why did he vote against the chairman's son and to get back on the board? He's obviously got an axe to grind there somehow. We've been on an upward trend for so long. It'd be horrible to think that this little bit of madness could destabilize that in any way, board wise, because I think the board have been magnificent in the last few years, supporting the management and, you know, the former manager, and hopefully to support Gio in the January window. They've had our backs for, you know, if anything in the sort of media has cropped up, they've been quite quick lately to jump on it and sort of defend us. So, you know, the board have been brilliant lately, and you don't want anything to rock that. But it's just a case of what's his intentions. And I think that's what everybody wants to know, and nobody knows.
Yeah, he has to just maybe come out and say it. And we discussed it last week, going to the Daily Record, coming out supporting Sutton. Whether he's right or wrong, and I think most of us agree that he would be wrong in supporting Sutton, but whether he's right or wrong, read the room. Don't say it. It just all seems a bit, Barry. It's like, oh, Dave, what are you doing?
Yeah, if you're trying to position
Dave, stop it.
Yeah, if you're trying to position yourself for a board seat, why would you go out your way to do these things? It just seems absolutely ludicrous, you know. You would slag off Park's son and obviously go to the Daily Record, you know. Surely you can read the room and see where we are with the Daily Record at the moment.
Yeah.
Not our best pals.
How does that work, Brian, with shares? Him coming back onto the board? Because obviously shares control your power.
Yeah.
If quite a lot of them have went, I don't know how many, but if say a quarter or a half have went to Club 1872, how does that work for Dave King coming back?
I mean, he was the largest shareholder, wasn't he?
I think he still might be.
Still might be. I think he's got about 15% shares, is he?
15, yeah.
So, I mean...
So it wouldn't really change too much then?
I don't think so. I mean, he's obviously still got a big influence as far as shares are concerned. He's obviously doing this because the agreement that Barry said earlier that he had with Club 1872 that they were going to take over all his shares. That's not obviously going to happen now because of their dwindling subscribers. So yeah, it's very difficult. It's really difficult to see where this is going to go. As Barry says, you don't upset the chairman's son or try to vote him off if you're wanting back on the board. So it's a tricky situation. He's obviously a clever guy because he knows what he's doing, but I don't know.
Well, he's also see, as far as CGM saying I'm coming back and I'm bringing my checkbook with me. Maybe that's how. Maybe we wouldn't mind him coming back with all the noise, Barry, if he's bringing his checkbook with him.
Particularly if he's going to try and sign Erling Haaland.
Well, there you go. I've heard Messi's no too happy at PSG. I'm pretty sure he knows Gio as well. That's how you start rumours. Right, okay, we'll leave it at that because I think any more we say will just be nonsense because I think you two know just about as much as me, which is hee-haw. Barry knows a little bit more, but Barry's pretending the night he's no smart. Isn't you, Barry?
Try my best, mate.
Right, Roofe and Jack. Injuries. Brian. Start with Ryan Jack. Looked positive, coming back. When do we as fans just until the day that he comes back on that pitch and plays, just forget about him? I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean there's been that many false dawns now, and it goes from about for 4 weeks and then it's 6 weeks and then he's back in training and then it's another 4 weeks and then it's never ending with Ryan Jack.
It's such a shame as well because he's very pivotal. Well, certainly under the old system how we played, but as far as ball winning midfielders, he's your best man. He's the one that does all the donkey work and all the scrappy stuff and gets it back. But it's such a shame because he's only 28. He's not an old guy. When he came back on as a sub, I think against
Dundee
was it? Was it Dundee?
Yeah.
You kind of thought, oh, great, he's getting a few minutes under his belt, a bit more training. He might get a half the next time. Then he might, slowly build it up. But it's just becoming a bit of a sideshow, a pantomime, call it what you want. But it's just not, it doesn't sound good week after week where it's going to be, he's out, he's had his training's been put back or his injury recovery's been put back, and you keep hearing negative stuff, and it's such a shame. It really is.
Could you take anything for the press conference, Barry, for Gio's demeanour? Or?
I think probably more than that. It's just from Rangers for the last year. If players are getting injured, you're not even finding out why they're injured. Do you guys know why Jack's out?
Something to do with hamstring.
Is it a back issue or hamstring?
Nothing definitive though.
It would be good to actually understand that information, and then you could maybe have a guess at, how long he might be out, potentially. But that's him being out since March, more or less, and played 30 minutes of football, maybe something along those lines. How long do you give it? The guy is a quality player, but wages wise, what would we be paying him? Maybe 15k a week, something along those lines.
I don't know. I don't like to speculate on wages because I really don't have a clue. It could be 15, it could be 30.
Yeah, is that money better spent elsewhere? I really like Ryan Jack as a player. I love him. I wouldn't want us to sell him if we could guarantee that he was going to be fit. But it all comes down to economics now. Where you've got a wage bill there, and you need to maximise that wage bill with players that are fit to play every week.
His names just went right out my head. Brian, the player we had,
Rossiter.
Is it another Rossiter?
It seems like it really does. I mean, every time you heard Warburton, how long's Rossiter out? Oh, 7 to 10 days. Every week it was 7 to 10 days. Yeah. And the longer it went on, the more everybody thought, we're never seeing this guy again. And look what happened. We never seen him again. It's a horrible reality to think about, but it's looking like another Jordan Rossiter, unfortunately.
That's maybe why the medical teams aren't keen to give you, the length of time he might be out, because you don't know. He's been out that long. You know, we've not played football for almost 9 months. It's going to take you maybe half a dozen games at a lower level to try and get up to speed, to try and get match fitness again before you can then come into, you know, the proper first team.
I know RFC 56, I think Jack will come back. So do I. But it's when. When does he come back? And when he does come back, Brian,
I'm just worried about his contract situation because it's obviously up in the summer.
Well,
so it's very easy. It's very easy just to bin him at the end of the season, isn't it?
I mean, it's easy for any club to bin a player when they're running out of contract, Brian. But the question is, should we?
Until we know what the injury is, and I don't know. I really don't know. I mean,
there's a question for the comments. Everybody in the comments, everybody watching.
It's such a difficult question to answer.
Should we, at the end of the season, say thanks for everything you've done for us, Ryan, but the injuries are too much, and we're not going to sign a new contract, and we're going to bring somebody else in? So everybody in the comments, get your answers in. Yes, no. If you want to leave a detailed answer, and I'll read some of them out. Sorry, Brian.
No, it's just a difficult question to answer because none of us know what the injury is. I mean, you thought it was his back, Barry thought it was his hamstring, I thought it was his calf. So there's three different injuries right there in front of us. So it's difficult to say how bad it is, or he seemingly went to a surgeon down in London and they reckon it went well. So obviously something's went wrong. So it's so difficult not knowing the full facts. That's the whole thing.
Maybe we look to put him on some sort of rolling deal if his contract runs out. And
on the contract, Barry, Stuart Keane's saying his contract's up in 2023.
Oh, is it? Oh well.
So I don't know how much a difference that makes.
You can't release him if you can't just say, well, we'll pay you off till 2023, can we? We can't afford that.
You wouldn't release him, you would keep him on the books.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just want him in the team. I've lost the comment, and I must admit it was really funny, so I really want to find it. I can't find it, but GB at this point in the medical team probably don't know what the actual issue is, which by the way could very possibly be true. Foldsy, Jack and Roofe are going to the medical staff's Christmas night out. There you go. That's probably true. Big Shug. I mean, this is when Brian initially wrongly told us that his contract was up at the end of the season.
I did think it was up at the summer. Sorry.
Big Shug saying let him go. Stuart Henderson, let him go. Darren Knock, release him. GB, I think Jack's done. I hope not. Sharpie, what's going on with Ryan Jack? Have you not been listening, Sharpie? Come on. I'll guarantee when Jack leaves Ibrox, he'll go to a club and play 50 games a season. Yeah.
Happened before.
Darren Stewart, pay as you play or release. He's got 6 months to prove he's worth it for RFC 56. So it's one of those things. Kemar Roofe, Barry, I think we all knew that this was what came with Kemar Roofe. I think it's just the fact that he hasn't had as many injuries, it doesn't seem anyway, since he's came. But when he gets them, doesn't he?
I think he seems to have this ongoing ankle problem, which keeps him out for maybe 10, 15 games a season. It would be good for him to get a proper run of games in the team. I think he's in and out all the time. And, I think if we could play him and Morelos up front as a two and they could work as a partnership, I think they would be unreal. But I think the last time we've probably not played a two for probably about the last 4 years. So chances of that happening is probably slim to none. I would like to see him get more games, but unfortunately, when you're injured, those guys going to be ahead of you in the pecking order and makes it difficult for you to get back in again.
Big Shug, you can't just keep a player because you like him. We're past that, and that's 100% true. Mm-hmm. Brian, I think are they both out? Is it until at least after the winter break?
Yeah, that's what Van Bronckhorst said today. So they're both out till the end of January at least. But I mean, and that's a month and a half. So hopefully, again, whatever the injury is, they can identify it and at least try and get down to the bottom of it. But God, Jack's been out since March, so they still haven't got to the end of it, the bottom of it. So I don't hold much hope for that unless the new Dutch team that have come in can identify something different. So I don't know.
Very true. I've lost I think it was CGM. I've lost the comment who says, look, we Roof out. Defoe obviously can't play a lot. In a way, it leaves us quite short up front. So was that me or was that you? There you go. New striker in January. There you go. CGM. Always CGM. So let's talk about January a wee bit, and then we'll move on to St Johnstone. Brian, you brought it to my attention that Gio and Ross Wilson had mentioned bolstering the squad in January.
Yeah.
Will we spend a few quid?
Well, I think you might have to let a few of the deadwood go before he brings anybody in. But from what I've seen on the press conference, Twitter stuff, it was a case of you always aim to come out of the window stronger than you went in. So he's obviously got his intentions set already. He obviously knows who he wants to let go or get rid of. And he obviously might have an idea who he wants to take in. So he's obviously looked at the squad previous before he came in and thought, well, I can do some of this. I can make it better. So he's obviously identified guys that he obviously doesn't fancy because they've not even featured. They've not even been on the matchday squad. And he's obviously got contacts and guys in Haaland and wherever else. So, yeah, he's obviously got an idea of what he wants and what he doesn't want. So the magic word from I picked up from what he said today was we always aim to come out of the window stronger than we went in.
I mean, look, CGM Barry's saying it, look, it's easier said than done getting rid of the deadwood. You've only got to look at our neighbours and, you know, they've not been able to get rid of the deadwood for 10 years.
I mean, you're hoping that most of these guys are coming towards the end of their contract where you can release them and free up money in the wage bill. You're looking at guys like Brandon Barker sitting there stealing a wage, you know.
Yeah. Massively.
He's not even in any match day squads, turning up for training, earning a pretty penny. You know, I don't think anybody's going to match what he's on at Rangers, you know. But it's key to try and get these guys out the door if you can. Free up some wages that you can then use to put towards some real quality to bring them in the door. I think with the African Cup of Nations in January, we'll know that, you know, defensively, we might be struggling for some players in that area, certainly through January. There's probably areas that Gio wants to strengthen himself. I think right wing probably looks the one at the moment, and maybe another centre half potentially coming in.
Right wing centre half, Brian. This might sound like a very silly question, but in January, do we need a centre half?
When you look what we've got on the books just now, we've got
Haaland
injured, we've got Goldson, and we've got Bassey, and that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, and this is why I ask, you still got Goldson there. Goldson's going to play because I know he's had his critics, but look what he done against Hearts. That's the type of quality you get from him, passing wise. Very, very good defender. 100%. Haaland comes back, right? We paid 4 million or whatever it was for Haaland. So you would expect him to start. You've got Balogun there, right, who has not really been injury prone. So he'll come back. And you've got Bassett, who's done excellent. If we want to go out and get a centre-half in a real quality, unless we go down the John Souttar route, which I think we could, but if we don't do the John Souttar route, are we going to go and pay good money for a centre-half when we've got the options sitting there at the moment?
No, we're not going to pay big bucks we're not going to pay big bucks on a centre-half in January. I think we've already seen in Twitter and goodness knows where else there's a lot of guys in Holland that are out of contract that obviously Gio's worked with before or knows. So there's a chance that we could get them over. Goodness knows, Gerrard did it a few times where he signed a guy in a pre-contract and then eventually ended up paying money to get him. So there's a good chance Giovanni might do that again. Follow the suit because Ross Wilson obviously likes to get his guys in early doors and no messing around. But we're not going to be spending massive amounts of money at centre half. No, I don't think so.
I completely agree with you, Brian. I think if we can do those Bosman deals and you get somebody in early, succession planning for next season, and you basically got that guy in before the summer for the Champions League qualifiers, you're bedding them in, and they've got that full 6 months to bed in rather than a couple of months, moving their families about if they need to. And it just allows them that wee extra bit of time to settle into the team and then prepare yourself for next year, which the quality level needs to go up again if you want to be competing in the Champions League next year, or even if you're going to be in qualifiers, to enable you to qualify.
I wasn't going to try and pronounce the guy's name, but CGM's just brought him up, and so has a few other folk.
Danilo Donenke.
Something like that. It's along that line. He's about 24.
Yeah.
The thing is, we're going to get linked to most Dutch players. I'm surprised that the Robin van Persie link hasn't came back and he's retired. We're going to get linked to a lot of players. And like we know with Rangers, unless it comes from the other side or an agent, you ain't going to hear anything out of Rangers.
Unless he's got a scarf above his head, we're not going to hear anything.
Exactly. One of the other things about January as well, though, Barry, is keeping a hold of certain players. Unless, of course, there's ridiculous bids, because that's a business model now. Bring players in, train them up, make them better, sell them on. Is there any specific player or players that you would like to keep at least till the end of the season, especially with the Dortmund game coming? And if you don't say Aribo, you're not allowed back on the pod.
I think the way he's playing, obviously, Aribo is the number one in there at the moment. I think Kent's starting to show some of his true form again. And obviously, Morelos looks as if he's got his appetite back for the game. The last 3 games, he's starting to show the Morelos of old. And I think if you can keep the 3 of them firing, I think we're looking good for winning the league. And you wouldn't want to sell those guys before the end of the season. I can see probably Aribo going in summer if he doesn't sign a new deal.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to be letting any of those guys go in January. Any of your core 11, I would say.
Well, we were told, and sorry, 2 seconds. Right, Sharpie, I'm talking to you again. That's it. You can comment again. I've not been ignoring you in the comments. That's you. Ross Wilson has told us, and he sat there and Sean Maloney knew Hibs boss. There you go. That's a shock. Ross Wilson's told us, Brian, that, and we've heard it straight for the horse's mouth, we do not need to sell players. So is that a case of if Gio says, look, that's a great bid, but leave it till the summer, nobody's getting sold?
I suppose Gio's going to be the man that's going to say and all these deals. Wilson will obviously have an input, but if Gio turns around and says, I want to keep this guy, then we'll keep him. I mean, Kamada's obviously another one that we really don't want to lose at this stage of the season. If Gio fancies a guy, then we're not going to let him go. It's as simple as that. Well, as you say, unless some stupid bid comes in, then
if somebody comes in, I don't know, say a team in the Birmingham area come in and say we want a certain Mr. Joe Aribo, there's 25 million. See if you got offered stupid money like that. And by the way, that's only stupid money because we're in Scotland.
Yeah.
See down south, Joe Aribo's worth double that.
Yeah.
Comfortably. And so is Kamara. But
exactly.
Let's try and be in the realms of Scotland that we're in. If somebody comes in and offers money like that, if somebody comes in, for example, Barry, and says, there's 17 million, we'll take Joe Aribo. I don't think Rangers take that.
I don't think they should. I think they would be getting Aribo on the cheap at that price, to be honest. We need to start standing up for the quality of our players, You've seen already John McGinn's went down from Hibs. There's talk of him going to Man United for 50 million. There's other Celtic players who went down south for, silly money. So I think we need to hold out 20 million plus for Aribo minimum. Maybe even upwards of that, as you said, Martin, 25, Stop selling the players on the cheap and start getting the real value for the players up in this league.
I think the previous manager said before, if anybody wants our players, they're going to have to pay top dollar. So he knows exactly he should know exactly how much we're looking for every player that we've got. So he needn't bother coming in with low ball offers for any of our players. He should know more.
He also knows the financial position of the club, though.
Yeah,
and he probably knows the amount he probably has to make to maybe get a player that wee tiny bit cheaper. And by tiny bit cheaper, I mean rather than coming in for 25 million, Rangers might go like 22 million. You know, you might be able just to get that wee bit more off it compared to another manager.
Yeah, I mean, there's Folsey saying 25 million for Tierney. Well, would you pay 25 million for Tierney, or would you pay 25 million for Aribo?
Yeah. Listen, I think I'm sorry, and I know it's bad to say it on a Rangers podcast. I think Tierney's an excellent player. The only problem is I think he's one of the best players in Arsenal's team. The only problem is he can't stay fit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But anyways, I'm sorry. Sorry, used to carry on. I'm reading a comment and I can't read and talk at the same time.
I think personally, if we're going to sell anybody in January, it'll be Hadji. I don't think he fits into the system the Gio's trying to play. And if you could get between 15 and 20 million for him, and he's allowed to reinvest that 15 to 20 million, then he goes out and maybe buys a winger and strengthens other areas of the team. But just my opinion.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was reading this comment here for Ian. Hi guys, I'm a Darlington FC fan. We were made bankrupt in 2011. They reformed. Obviously, we didn't. In 2012, demoted 4 leagues. We are currently a fan on National League North Club and have had 3 promotions to date. Well done, by the way. I didn't even know that about Darlington. I heard about Bury or Berry. I don't know how to say it.
Berry.
Sorry, but no, that's brilliant. Shall we look ahead to St Johnstone? Shall we do it?
Yep.
And look at that, 47 minutes. I've not left it 4 minutes like I usually do. This should be pretty much, Barry, a cut and dry, comfortable. I shouldn't have said that. A cut and dry, comfortable win.
Yeah, I think if we play as well as we did against Hearts in stages, I think we'll have far too much for St Johnstone. I would fancy us to win quite heavily tomorrow if we play a front 3 of Kent, Morelos and Fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll be far too quick for the St Johnstone defence. And I quite like the lineup that we had out on Sunday with that attacking line. You know, I think we all pay to watch attacking football. And I think if we could see a win, maybe 3-4-0 tomorrow, I think we're due Sunday an absolute pasting. And hopefully it'll be St Johnstone to make up for some of the results they've had against us in the last couple of seasons.
Well, Brian, I'm looking at it right now, and the last 5 games in the league, beat 1-0 off Aberdeen, beat 1-0 off Dundee, beat 2-1 off Hibs, beat 1-0 off Celtic, and drew 0-0 with St Mirren. So, I mean, you know, they're coming into this in the worst run of form possible.
Yeah. I must admit, when I seen the next 3 fixtures, I licked my lips a wee bit because I was quite thinking, well, there's 3 fixtures. If you were dreaming of a bit of Christmas fixtures, this would possibly be it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I totally agree with Barry. This is a fixture that we should really be giving them a good going over. They're, as you say, they're coming into the fixture in a really bad run of form. I think I mentioned in the group chat, we've had our 3 away fixtures, last 3 away. We've beat Livingston away, Hearts away, and Hibs away, and Livingston, Hibs, and Hearts away.
Sorry, just say that again, Brian.
Livingston, Hibs, Hearts.
There you go.
Hey. But I mean, you know, that was 3 fixtures we marked as quite tricky and, you know, difficult ones, and we've come through them with 9 points. So I would fully expect us to get 3 points tomorrow night and hopefully a few goals.
I'm surprised, just sticking on St Johnstone very quickly, Barry, because we do have Best of the Rest, which is available on our Patreon, where we go more in depth into the rest of the teams. And obviously that's the link for that is available in the description if you want to help support the podcast. Actually, very, very quickly, we have 2 giveaways going on at the moment that both finish tomorrow. And I should have brought this up on the pod last week, but I completely forgot. We've got an official club coin. You can head over to our Twitter and you pin tweet. The link's in the description. You can have a look. All you need to do is the usual. Tag a friend, retweet, follow. That's it. And on our Instagram, we've got 2 retro tops to give away. extra large, I think they are, hence why I'm giving them away. All you need to do again, I think, is just tag a friend and follow. Because I don't even know if you can share on Instagram. I'm hopeless with it. Where was I going before that? What was I talking about? St Johnstone, that's the one. So yeah, I can't multitask. Are you surprised, Barry, how bad St Johnstone have been this season? Because Callum Davidson was touted as, one of the best managers in the league.
I think what has absolutely destroyed St Johnstone is losing Ali McCann and the boy Kerr at the back. I think Kerr was a bit of a mainstay for them defensively, and I thought he was very solid at the back. Obviously, he's went down south, and the boy McCann, we were linked with him, I think during the winter window last year. We might have been able to pick him up quite cheap. I think he looked quite dynamic for St Johnstone in the middle of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Looked good in European football against Galatasaray, amongst a few other teams that St Johnstone managed to do quite well against. And I think they've missed the two of them quite substantially. I don't think they've replaced them at all. And it's weakened the team as a result. So they've went from, probably in the top half last season to, going to be in a relegation dogfight this season purely by losing their two best players.
Mm-hmm.
The point I was going to bring up, Moore. Can't see us beating them heavily because Clark will be wanting to show Gio why we should be signing him. That is the one issue, Brian, that we have, that a few times we've come up against St Johnstone. Because Xander Clark is a fantastic goalkeeper, and I'm not just saying that because his brother's part of this podcast. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, and he's been a nightmare for us on a couple of occasions.
Too often against us, he has been our biggest problem. He pulls off save after save, and he's even scored. Well, I don't know if he scored the goal, but he had a big hand in the goal that put this out in the penalty shootout. So yeah, it's no. I'm still no. I mean, I realize your goalie's only as good as your defense. Let's be honest. And if your defense isn't very good, then the goalie can only do so much. He can only keep out so many shots and so many, crosses and headers. And no, I still fully believe we'll give them a good go. And if you'd asked me this before we got the new manager, I would have been a bit hesitant. But the way the team's playing now and the way we're set up, we're a lot better. We're a lot more stable.
I think you've noticed in the last few weeks the amount of shots that we're getting away from inside the opposition box and outside. I think against Dundee there was over 30 shots inside the box. Last week against Hearts, I think we were unlucky. We could have easily walked away at Tynecastle with 4 or 5 goals. There's a few chances that our field had they could have put away, and there's probably a few others that were close with as well. If it wasn't for Gordon in goal, I thought he had a brilliant game. But if all of that comes together in one game, and we're getting between 30 and 40 shots away, you're going to absolutely destroy somebody one of these weeks.
I don't know. You tell me if this is sarcasm. CGM, just from the obvious research Martin has done for the pod, it sounds like they struggle to score goals but don't concede many. This will be a slogfest unless we score early. I've done loads of research, CGM, before this podcast, I'll have you know. I've done nothing. I just Googled the last 5 games. Do you go along with that, Barry? Dundee United, will they just... Obviously, they'll come and sit in. But do you expect it to be a slogfest, or do you... I don't know. I feel slightly different under Gio. I don't feel as if we panic as much when we've not scored early.
Yeah, I think the way we're playing at the moment, it doesn't look as if we're going to get involved in too many of those games. I think we've got options there tactically. We've got options there player-wise, where we're changing shape in and out of possession, which I think makes us less predictable when we've got the ball. And I think we've got a number of different avenues where we can we can score, essentially. We're not trying to do the same thing repetitively all the time. You can see from that ball over the top to Aribo on Sunday, You're seeing the strikers moving out, creating space over the top for Aribo to run onto. So we've got lots of different variation in our play. And I think that'll be too much for St Johnstone tomorrow.
Yeah,
Key thing is to try and score early.
Yeah, 100%. All right, it wasn't sarcasm. Fair enough. My apologies, CGM. I suppose really the only decisions that Gio's got to make about tomorrow, Brian, is who he picks. Do you expect to see many changes?
Not really. I mean, if you didn't like what you've seen against Hearts, then there's something wrong with you. Solid defensively, all right. We had a couple of scares, but going forward,
even with the schedule coming up,
it all depends on players' fitness and who he thinks is who he's earmarked for certain games, and does he fancy this player against this team more than another? No, I don't. You'll maybe see two or three changes at most. That'll be it. Two or three.
The one part of the team I don't expect to change, Barry, will be defence. I think Gio's now got that back five that he wants to play and kind of has to play. But I think it'll be important to keep them together, even right the way through the Christmas period.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't look as if he likes to tinker with the team too much.
Mm-hmm.
He has been relatively settled in terms of 11 that he's picked, although the front line changed on Sunday there against Hearts, and that was a little bit of a surprise to see Fashion come in on the right wing. But other than that, I think the team in the midfield's been relatively settled with Kamara, Aribo, Arfield, and I think he'll probably look to maybe keep a settled team, get the game won after about an hour, and then think about substitutions and then freshen up a bit and rest some of these guys. Hopefully that's a plan for tomorrow.
Well, that's always been my argument. Get the game won, get a few goals, and then get your best players off. Give them a rest. Then do the damage and then take them off.
Yeah,
it was so much under Gerrard. It was every match. It was like 6 changes or wholesale changes. The goalie was changed. It was ridiculous. There's no need for that.
Well, you're saying we're best players, Brian. Hadji didn't start against Hearts. Stephen Davis didn't start against Hearts. No. Lundstrom didn't start against Hearts.
I'll rephrase it then. Whoever he picks on tomorrow night.
See, that's my point.
That's what I'm saying. Whoever he picks.
Hadji miss out again?
Well, I don't know. It just depends.
Does Scott Wright maybe deserve a restart?
We'll play I would imagine we'll play the 4-1-4-1 that he quite likes. He's reverted to that at home quite a lot.
We shall see. All right, okay. Just quickly, time for predictions, because we always get these right. Predictions in the comments, please, and first goal scorer. I'll take my time asking these guys so I can get some of your answers up as well. Of course, we've got 2 giveaways going on just now. One on YouTube. Nonsense. One on Twitter and one on Instagram. The links are in the description. If I could also just say, please do like and subscribe. The more you like, the more the video gets shared. I know that, see, the main people that watch all the time, you'll get fed up with me saying it, but I have to keep saying it, because see, if I don't say, can you like and subscribe, far less people like. The target for this, do you know what, I'm going to bring a target back, because last time I brought a target, I got it. So 200 likes, that's my target for this. And when I first started the podcast, I was hoping for 2 views, never mind 200 likes. All right, Brian, prediction, first goal scorer?
Kent, 4-0.
Kent 4-0. Barry?
There's a rule that you're not allowed to use the same prediction as the other panelists. So
there's no rule. It just looks like you're copying.
I was going to go with 3-0 or 4-0. I'm going to go 4-0 Aribo. 4-0
Aribo. Right, let's see what we've got in the evening, lads. So, Curry, you're mega late, man. But you couldn't actually be later if you tried.
Right, see you later.
Unbelievable, Curry. That's shocking behaviour. Ian Moore, 3-0 Bassey. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Big Bassey getting the first goal. Grant says 3-0 Rangers at Aribo. It seems to be a popular scoreline. Fulgy, 4-0 Aribo. Big Shug. Love it. 3-0 Sakala hat-trick. Do you know that? We could talk for about another hour about Sakala. The guy just so happy when I see him. Stuart, 2-0 Morelos double. Darren Stewart, Tav, who hasn't... Oh, we can't even go there. CGM, 2-0 Alfie to score both. RFC, 3-0 Morelos. Have we got any more? Ewan, I'm going 4-0 Sakala to score 2. Robert Robertson, 5-0 Arfield. Love it. Jim Sloan, Buffalo 4. Well, Buffalo for first goal scorer, 4-0. Graham has got 3-0. Have we got any more before we go? Scottish Lad, 4-0 and Morelos. There you go. Oh, well, hold on. He had his dog at the vet. Listen, I love dogs, so that's acceptable. I hope the wee doggy's all right.
Did you like how Alfie was in full rage mode after he scored and then seen Sakala and he just started smiling? He was the happiest man in the world.
He is. He's just...
He's seen Sakala and he just started smiling. He was just... I thought that was quite good.
3-1 Goldson first goal. 3-1? Come on, Brian. I'm not going to score. Come on. I'm going to go 2-0 Rangers, and the first goal scorer for me is going to be Borna Barisic. Oh, he said it. Oh, he said it. There you go. Brian, Barry, thank you very much. That was probably one of the quickest evers I've had in a long, long time.
Time flies when you're enjoying yourself.
It certainly does. Curry is saying 4-1 Sakala with a wee sexy double. Nicholas Moore 2-0. Right, stop getting them in now so I can finish. Thank you to everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe. Get us to that 4K subscribe target. We will be back tomorrow. Why did I think the St Johnstone game was at the weekend? We're back tomorrow with reaction. Honestly, my head wasn't glued on. We're back tomorrow night with reaction, so we'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Barry. We'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Martin.